Faculty of Library and Information Science. Right now we will be discussing our course 1 of the MLIS program, and this particular course is Information Communication and Society. This being the first course, the course code is MLI 101, and as it is with all our different programs, this particular course provide the context to the different courses of this particular program, that is the master's degree program. As the name goes, we are trying to teach our learners the different aspects of information sources, information services, and the developments therein that are taking place. And the title of this suggests that we try to impart to you the very basics of information. What do we mean by information? What is the importance of information? How is information generated, how it is communicated, how it diffuses, how it transmits to the people. This is a base course, and here we discuss all these different aspects of information. This is a revision of the earlier program. There are certain changes that we have brought about in this particular course from the earlier course, and that is the developments that are taking place in the information and communication technologies, and how these developments have affected the information right from its generation to the transmission as well as use. So all these aspects have been discussed here. We will be discussing all these aspects in an overall view today right now, and we will be discussing later on each and every aspect in detail in our other teleconference sessions. This particular course, as I told you, MLI 101, as it is with our different courses, it has been divided into 4 different blocks. We go very systematically from general to specific. The very first block, we try to explain what is information, what is data, what is knowledge. We also try to differentiate between all these different things that are generally also taken to be synonymous, though they have different shades of meaning. So the very first block, we try to explain their differences, their properties, how they originate and how they further develop into the different parts. Then we go on to explain how the communication of information takes place, and it is here that we discuss the diffusion also of communication, of information. In the third block, we have discussed about information and society, how information has seeped into the society, how it has affected the society, how the society is increasingly dependent on information, whether it is the education, or it is the recreation, or it is the research, or it is decision making in the business, industry, or at the national or international level. All these aspects we have tried to cover there in that, and also how the different changes have come up at the national and international level, like the National Information Infrastructure, the laws and the acts that are there that are related to information use. Then in the final block, we have talked about knowledge and society. We said that we have moved into the information society, and we have moved even further one step ahead to the knowledge society. So what is this knowledge society? How it is different from information society? What are the different perspectives and the effects that these have on the society overall and the education and research also? What is knowledge management, how it is different from information management, how do the different organizations have realized the concept of learning organizations, learning and unlearning, and how to manage and preserve this knowledge and profitably use this knowledge in relation to other organizations and industries. It is all this that we have tried to discuss in knowledge management, knowledge centers. We have also discussed about knowledge professionals, who these knowledge professionals are, who are trying to utilize this knowledge to the benefit of their society and the organization they are in. And what role have library and information professionals have to play here, how they are, where they stand in this profession of knowledge professionals, how they can adapt themselves to these changing roles and what roles they have to play, how they can also prepare themselves in this changing scenario of information society and knowledge society. So all this is what is discussed in this. We start with what is information, how it is different from data and knowledge, and thereon we will move further to the communication of information, diffusion and transmission of information, as well as use of information. Finally, we will also be discussing about the changing scenario of the information and information society, and what are the different issues that are involved, what are the changes that have taken place. We will also be discussing about the agents of these change. So this is the overall perspective for this particular course, and for this also the overall perspective that we will be discussing. I'll request Professor Ghosh to start with it.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. Now, Dr. Sharma has given a very good and very detailed overview of the course, which is a part of our Master Degree in Library and Information Science program. Now, you must be understanding that our program title is Master's Degree in Library and Information Science, and there is a distinct difference between this program and the Bachelor of Library and Information Science program of our university. Now, in the Bachelors of Library and Information Science program, we have our objective is to develop personnel for maintenance of a library. So there we discussed about the documents, how to organize the documents, like cataloging, classification and things like that. You must have seen any library and how the library can be organized and how to give services out of the libraries. But in this program, Master Degree in Library of Information Science program, if you have gone through our program guide or the course content, etc., here you see that there is a marked difference between the libraries as such, where the document is the main resource. We are moving to the information. Now, this entire program is based upon the information, because information means the basics of information, how it is important for the society, how the information is communicated to have an overview. Because as an information professional, as we are information professional, we must know that how the information is generated, how the information is communicated, because we have to pick up those information for subsequent processing, retrieval, which goes to second course, then how we manage those information centers, etc., etc. So if you see our program, you will be seeing that from the next program, from MLI 101 to MLII 101 to the rest of the programs, you will be seeing that there we are going to the particular aspect of the information. That means how you process it, organize it, retrieve it, disseminate it, what are the information systems available, what are the services which may be possible, how to manage those information. Information means information centers. Manage the information is the part of MLI 102. Information center how we will manage, because now the libraries, there are varieties of traditional libraries, but basically the thing in the present context which are becoming important is the information centers. Now these information centers, even a few years back, these were as such information centers. Now the technology has changed. Maybe that now we are talking of the virtual information center. Anyway, this Dr. Sharma has pointed out to that we will be coming into details when we move on. So basic purpose is that here in this course MLI 101, we first of all we have tried to give you the perspective. This is what is called it as a perspective paper. That means from the next paper to next course to end of the course we are going into the individual aspects, but here we want you to develop a overall perspective under which scenario you are working, which scenario you are going to build up your information center. So that's why this paper is information, then communication and society, because nowadays you are seeing that in society, every aspect of the society there is a need for information. People are looking for information. All of you are seeing the television, journalism, this message, this news, that thing. Now if you just think of it, that a particular person when is presenting the subject, topic in the television, maybe a newsman or a journalist, etc., how much information he has collected. So you see that in every sphere of life, today's world, you go to railway reservation system, their information. Wherever you go, banking system, nowadays this ATM, this electronic banking, electronic commerce, you see everywhere the information. So that is the perspective. Now, in this perspective, you need not be expert in all these aspects, but what we want that you first of all understand this perspective, that in what is the total area, total gamut of services in which you are in, and then when you are able to appreciate that, then you pick up a particular area and then specialize on it. So with that brief perspective from my side, we are looking at information, nature, property and scope. Now in this unit, we have tried to define what is an information. Now simultaneously there are few terms which which you are aware, and many of the things we have introduced in our BLIBSC, Bachelor of Library Information Science course. For example, news, data, information, knowledge. Now all these things we are knowingly or unknowingly we use it synonymously. That means we mean the almost same thing. But if you look at this thing, it is, you can call it a little bit synonymous, but then there is a finer marked difference in it. For example, say data. Now information. Now what is data? Basically data is a raw fact. Okay, so that's why we define is data is a raw fact. Now when that data is processed, then that becomes information. Now when you process that information further to add new information to that and store your memory, of course nowadays it is not only memory, that we will be discussing when we come to knowledge and society chapter. So that becomes knowledge, and then finally by virtue of the knowledge, when you are accumulating knowledge throughout your life, then you are said that you are a wise person. That means for anything, for example, we go to some experts and things like that and ask what we should do. That means he is giving the advice out of the knowledge, out of the information which he is already possessing, which is all we know as wisdom, that kind of thing. Now there is a famous example in all the many documents you will be finding, even in our BLS course also you will be finding this thing, that it is just like your, that cotton, yarn and cloth. That means you have got cotton, you process it, yarn, and then out of that you process it, which becomes a cloth. So here also it is same thing. Data is the raw material. For example, if you say that say 35, it is a data, but it has not there is no meaning to it. So when you add some sort of meaning to it, some value to it, then it becomes information. For example, if you say 35 students or 35 meters or 35 meter length, then it becomes information. So naturally data is a raw fact. Of course when we discuss about data, there are various kinds of data. For example, scientific data, social science data, and so many things are able, that we will see. But at the moment we try to understand that what is the difference between data, information, and then when you come to this thing, then it becomes knowledge, just like your cotton, yarn and cloth, that chronology. So that is between data, information and knowledge. Now in this data, information and knowledge, when in the context of the library science, though there is a fine difference between these terms, but in the context of the library science, library center or information centers, we more or less take it at almost synonymously, because now for example there is a data for scientific data called say crystallographic data, this data. Now the librarian also has to process this thing. For example, you must have heard in the BLIBSC course about this what is that, a handbook, American Mechanical Engineers Handbook. Now you guess all the mechanical engineering data. So there also we consider it, though operationally we say that data is a raw fact, but then all these things are used as synonymously, and for the library and information science people, we do not make any much of difference of this thing. thing and then we look at it that way. Now there are different kinds of data which are available, and every data has a different property. For example, say crystallography, it has a different property, and say demographic data, say census of India or census of any country, they have a huge amount of data. So this is another kind of data. Naturally, the characteristics of the data of crystallography and the characteristics of data of demography, these are not same. These are different kinds of characteristics. So in this unit, unit number 2, what we have said is that what are the different types of data and what is their properties and what is the scope, in which parameter you operated this thing. Now when you look at data and information and knowledge, it is told that it's an intellectual asset. Intellectual asset means, now when you are going for information, I mean this data is created by the society, spending huge amount of money. That is one aspect. In many places it is not only it is not the money, but the wisdom of a person, his knowledge. He has created a lot of information. If you go to village, many of the old people, the kind of information which you can gather from him, it need not be that for that huge amount of money is spent. So this is the any country's importance is judged by the amount of intellectual asset. These are all intellectual things. That means a society has created. In the Indian community also the same thing happened. So all these that data, a country, earlier it was said that a country is thought to be richer and poorer by the amount of wealth he has. But now it is said the country is considered as richer or poorer by the amount of the information it has, amount of knowledge it has, and that is the intellectual aspect. A country is judged by that. So that is data and information. Now in the information also there are various type of information: social science information, data type information, meteorological. Say for example, one is that this example we have given in our earlier book also regarding the Reserve Bank of India bulletin. Now Reserve Bank of bulletin gives different kinds of information, exchange rate, these, that, all these things are given. So this is another kind of type of information. So what are the varieties, what are the various types of information, and what is the similar way, what is the various properties of data? Similar way we have discussed that what are the varieties of information, what is the nature, what is their property, and the scope also, in which purpose that is used. Now the of course knowledge also, as I said, there is a definition of knowledge. That means when some value is added to information and some more aspect is added to the information, that it becomes knowledge, and that knowledge is permanent. Now one of the difference which I assume is that information need not be permanent. I mean today there is some information, for example, and that way knowledge is permanent, but many times the knowledge is also changing. For example, earlier we used to know that there are what is that, 9 what is that, Jadip? 9 planets. And then now it is changing. Now that was the knowledge we have learned from the childhood, but now it is changing. So sometimes that also change. But that, how this is changed? It is changed by the activities of the research, the activities of the investigation. The more and more you get that thing, that kind of thing happens. So this kind of thing has been discussed in the knowledge definition, type, nature. Same way, the same parameters we have looked at data, information. In the knowledge also there are different kinds of knowledge available. For example, one is that knowledge which are available in this documented book. But one thing you must understand, basically knowledge cannot be documented. Knowledge is basically individuals, and any individuals, this thing, how much knowledge. Now for example, India is very rich in some knowledge, for what we call it as a traditional knowledge. For example, our old people, parents and grandparents and things like that. Even now, if you go to say village side or the rural India, there are many people who are still residing, living. They have not read any book, they have not read anything, but the kind of even scientific knowledge which they may not know that it is a scientific knowledge, but then the thing which they will tell you, you will see it is happening. For example, say I have read that there are many places the geologists they have found out some groundwater reserve in a place. They are searching, and with the scientific instruments they are not able to locate that where the groundwater reserve is there. Then the villagers of that locality, they said that you go to that place, there is a possibility of groundwater reserve. How they say? There is a mole's hill is there. Mole, you know, that hill is there, and it is, they know that wherever the mole hill is there, groundwater will be there. And then when it was investigated, and they saw that they got. So now this kind of knowledge, it is residing with the individual. So it is not necessary that all these things are available in the documentary form. For example, when we come to knowledge and society, we will discuss some of the things afterwards. For example, in a banking system, in the corporate sector, people are taking decision. Decision means how their business will improve or what strategy they should. Now that is nowhere it is written that. Now that is a knowledge. Okay, so that kind of thing it is there. So all these things have been discussed. Now the next thing, as Dr. Sharma has pointed out, that the information generation and communication. Then when you have understood that what is the difference between data, information and knowledge, and what is their characteristics, properties, etc., then you should have some idea how the information is generated. Now there is certain thing, you know, that information is generated out of research. It is not always out of research. Information is generated in varieties of processes, and there when the information is research, means you can say not research, maybe investigation. That investigation is a very general terminology. By many, it need not be a formalized research. But there's some investigation you generate research, information. Now, once this information is generated, how it is communicated, and here we have tried to give the various communication process, and basically here we have given you the scientific aspect of the information communication. For example, when a information is passed from this place to that place, how you can measure it, or whether any information is lost in communication. When I am talking to another person, if it's a long distance, that is what is known as entropy. And here there is a scientific aspect of it. But basically we have tried to tell you that what are the different modes of communication. That means it may be person to person. I can talk with Dr. Jaideep Sharma in person here. I can talk to you people just like this media, through this teleconference I am talking. I can talk to you over telephone. I can talk to you a huge mass in a conference. So there are various ways the information is communicated. That is one thing. And also the media. There are various media by which the information communicated. One is the simple print media. The author is communicating the information either through book or through periodical literature, or this is one media. Now the information is communicated, say, through internet. So that is another media it is communicated. Now telephone, okay, you can call it mode. Sometimes it can be referred to as media also, I mean, because telephone wire and this kind of thing is good. So there are various ways. Now earlier you must be remembering that when this print etc. is not there, the old ancestors and the tribals, even now in the many of the tribals, they are communicating that just by beating drum. Now when that one drum is beaten, for each beat there is a meaning to it. So suppose there is a danger, they used to communicate through beating the drum. So there are various, but nowadays the things are sophisticated in the sense, now the technology is available. Now this was the initial mode by which the information was communicated. Now over the development, as the science has progressed, the technology has progressed, obviously the media of communication is also changed. It is undergoing change and it is being given. And then there, as I said, that for anything, now for capturing the information, for organizing the information, if we are able to give this a scientific basis of it, then it becomes easier to organize that information. Okay, because basically our problem as a library information science field is the capturing that information. So that is why we have to depend upon the documented information. Once that thing is very clear, that means without documentary form, whatever information is available through communication, whether there is any information loss or any the same information is coming to me, etc. So if that part is possible, then it becomes easier for us to capture that information and to organize that information. So one of the unit is concerning about the information theoretical aspect. So there are various theories which are, because this area has not yet been crystallized in that sense, but researches are going on, and there are many authorities who are doing research. So some of these theories have been discussed in this, and then as I said that now huge amount of information is available in the digital form, digitized form. What you know is a computer, or maybe in the CD-ROM also. All of you are seeing CD-ROM and this, that, but those are all digitized information. And particularly we are talking of many more things like virtual library, virtual classroom, virtual information is available in libraries without wall. Now libraries without wall means what? That means, does it mean that there is no library? Without wall means there is no wall. Then you must be thinking how it happens. That means the same kind of information which is housed in a very big building, now it is available in a small disk, or it may be available in the web, it may be available anywhere. So there you need not have a 8-storied building or 5-storied building. So that is the digital information. Now when you have understood the different perspective of this information, I mean various modes, various forms of communication, various media in which you are available, this is taken for granted that you are trained. Now you have to look this thing from the point of view how it is important from the point of view of society, how it is playing havoc nowadays in the society. Now any of the activity in today's world, if you think very carefully, see very carefully, you will be saying that nothing is moving without information. For any small bit of thing, you have to look at information. So that aspect is discussed in the block 3, information and society. So here, now, for example, very traditional things we have discussed also. For example, what is the role of information in education? Education means your, say, school education or college education or university education. You know what is the role. You are reading something. Now this book we have given to you. Now this book may not be enough. You have to get some more information. So as a student, the role of this information is that it keeps you updated. At a teacher should have the latest information so that he can tell to the students, he can build up the students accordingly. So that is just one area. Now for any activity in the world, information is important. For example, say government official. Now government official means who are doing taking decision. Now there is no library, and those information you will not be having any books. Now those suppose the file noting by the minister and this, that. Now when a minister takes a decision, he needs a lot of information to be made available to him, and from which he has to take a proper decision. So you can find the role of information. Similarly, any professional, you go to medical professional, you go to engineering professional, any professional. Now when they take a decision, say, about diagnosing a case or what medicine they will prescribe, everywhere they need information. So that is the all-pervasive role of information in different sectors of the society. But the thing is that what was prevalent in, say, 20 years or 30 years back, now information implication in the society was recognized in general in these sectors like education, government official, professional, etc. But now it is recognized that information is required by every section of the society. For example, a peasant, a farmer, he needs information. He need not be that he is educated. He is uneducated, illiterate, but he also needs information. For example, on which season which crop will be sown, or if some crop is damaged, what kind of insecticide has to be given as a preventive or also as a treatment to that, or what is the ground level, water level, that means in which height the water is there, so that a deep tube well is, all these things. What I wanted to tell you, that this information has got a tremendous effect on every section of the society, starting from the non-educated, illiterate people to highly educated research scientists, etc. So that is that. Now, when this is like this, then it is becoming an economic resource. Why it is economic resource? Just like any other thing, for example, any product, any cloth or rice, or all these are economic resource. Say any mineral, these are all economic resource because it has a value. It gives you value to the society. By that value, the society improves and all these things. Information is also like this. That means more information you are able to gather, organize it, process it, and then you give that information. That's why sometimes we people are categorized under the service industry, because we are not generating information. One side information is there and another side users is there. We are in between. That means we service the users through this information through varieties of forms. A particular person is looking for information immediately, so naturally we collect the information for varieties of sources, package it, repackage it and deliver it that way. So this is and this has created a huge industry now. Now if you take in a very broad sense, you should know that the computer professional, okay, except the manufacturer of the computer who are doing the hardware, rest of the computer professional, for example software personnel, etc., what they are doing, they are basically relying on the, relying means they are basically trying to develop the process of information. Okay, so as a result a huge industry has been developed. Okay, now there are two things. One is that one group of people, one group of professionals, they are developing this thing. Another group of professionals like libraries and information, they are facilitating the use of this information by developing various methods, by various technologies, etc. So that you will be seeing in the information economics chapter. I think it is unit number 10. The one is information economics, another one is economics of information. That is the difference. One is that information sector has itself developed as a, just like any industry, steel industry or say coal industry, just like that information itself is also has been developed as one of the industry. So that is the economics of information, that means how much value, how much market value it has come. Another is the information economics, that means by doing that thing there are certain institutions which are developed for like information facilitating centers like libraries or documentation centers or information centers or information consolidated centers or referral centers, all these things. Now they are surviving, they are thriving by the use of information. One is that one group of, they are creating that industry, another is they are surviving by this thing. So it's a huge thing, and it is said that will come in the block 3 when we come back to block 3. So that thing we are doing the block 3 economic resource. Now is a very big study which was conducted in USA. It was seen that 61% of the total labor force in USA are involved in the information related job. Information related job means they are everything. Libraries are also included, say cataloging or classification, indexing, software development, total 61%. So now you can imagine that what is the implication of this information as an economic resource. Now when it has got so much of importance, naturally you need a policy. Unless there is a, for example, for everyone in our country we have got policy, because otherwise policy is nothing but a guideline. It is not a law. It is a guideline which is developed, which is given by the government, that you develop in such a fashion. So here also we need a policy guideline that how this information sector should develop, what should be role of different kinds of institutions like libraries or information centers and documentation centers, etc., etc., etc. So for that, what are the things which are available in international level and at national level? In the national level, as far as India is concerned, you know that no such policy on library information is available till now. Only one document, that National Policy on Library Information Science, NAPLIS, which was developed by a committee appointed by the Parliament of the Government of India, which is known as D.P. Chattopadhyay Committee. They have submitted the recommendation but it has not yet been cleared. So that is this. But here you must understand what is the need of the policy. Will take some.
Yes, sir.
Next.
So, see, as we were discussing about this, that communication of information is very important. And when you talk of communication, we say that information gets its value only by communication. It is information as such is useless. Though we say information is power, or we say information is an economic resource, but until and unless it is communicated, and unless and until it is really used and utilized, and that is only by communication, that value doesn't come. It is an intangible source otherwise. So it is only by using, it is only by communicating that the use of information is made, and by communicating you are further adding on to that, and it is also a medium for generation of more information. So we say that otherwise also communication is a natural tendency of human beings. So whenever you as a human being has some information, he or she tends to communicate that information. So it is in this context that we were talking of communicating information. Now these modes of communication of information, as we have already discussed, are we could do it orally, or we could do it in a documentary form that could be written, printed, or even in a e-form. So in this particular course we talk of the different modes of communication that are possible, and also the different media of communication. And while talking of these different modes, formats and media, we have already discussed in our earlier courses that we have the in the documentary form, the print form, the primary, secondary and tertiary sources of communication that are there. Besides that, there is a big difference that has been made, and that has been made by the internet and web and the electronic publishing, that is a free media for communication that is there today. But at the same time it has brought about a number of changes, and one of these is that it has resulted in a information overload. A huge mass of information is available today. But at the same time there is a great problem regarding that huge mass, that is how to use that information. We are bothered about the reliability and authenticity of that information, and that is a very important issue that has come up today. So as a matter of fact, this information communication technology is a big agent that has resulted in the changes in the generation, the access, the effective use as well as transmission of this information. And at the same time there is a indirectly also it has affected, it has also resulted in an increasing awareness in the society towards information. It doesn't mean that information was not used or utilized or the importance was not there earlier, but this has been made all the more important over the recent decades or so. So this big change that has happened today is due to the easy access that is there and the easy availability of publishing also. It has large number of positive impacts, but at the same time this negative impact that we say that regarding the authenticity and reliability has to be discussed. At the same time we have also discussed in our course the different policies that have been made at international level, as he has very rightly pointed out that besides the Information Technology Act we do not have much developments in this direction. Regarding the communication of information, it is also important that it is only by communication that we generate more, and again we have different forums for communication, like the communication that is taking place right now. This is one of the forums. The other is a little bit more organized forums that we have, like the conferences and workshops and seminars that we hold. That is another way to generate information as well as communicate and transmit information. Then at the same time the print world is also there, so in addition to the internet or web that we were discussing right now. So these are the different modes and media that are there. Mass media is another media that is there, but that is for the masses. At the same time the internet and web has enabled us, and that has made a change in that we are going towards demassification of information. We are having information tailor-made to particular customers that are there. So these are the different the scenarios that are existing regarding the generation and the availability of information. Another very important aspect is regarding the information generation, communication and use that is again happening in a very big way in the society is that of open access. That we are moving towards making this access towards information open to all, irrespective of the person residing anywhere. And this has again been made possible due to certain developments, and this is no doubt that these are the developments of ICTs and also the changes in the mindsets and attitudes of people as well as governments, and the concept of globalization that we see around us. So it is these factors plus the increasing awareness in the society, the increasing attitude of the competition that exists in the society, that these developments are taking place. So we have to keep in view all these developments while thinking about how we really, where this information really exists, how we go about accessing this information and communicating of this information. So it is not merely that there is a certain information that is existing that we call the contents of that information. There is a source or originator of that information, and there is a sink or the use a particular thing that exists that is there to use that information, and that flow that takes place, and there are certain barriers in between that exist, and we try to overcome all these barriers so that this information is utilized more effectively and efficiently. And at the same time, the context of that information is also very important. But this media and these developments that are taking place have to be thought of in a very proper context with the background information that exists about all these. So it is in view of these that we have to talk about this information and communication. And at the same time, we have also seen that we are in a society that is heavily based on this information, and that is what is he was pointing out to you, that the American survey that was done, that a majority of workforce is engaged in information industries. So that at the same time we have to realize that this is the importance of information today, that the majority of the workforce is involved in this information creation, generation, use, and thus this has to be realized, and all these things have to be kept into view while thinking of the communication and transmission of information. In case Professor Ghosh would like to add to this, I think this is all we had to say in this particular.
Yes, I think one of the thing he has done very nicely. Now, say you must be listening the term like information society. That means the meaning of this information society is that when a major workforce of the society is living on a particular commodity. Earlier it was agricultural society, that means major workforce is the agriculture. Then industrial society, major workforce is industry. And now it is information society. Means it's not that all society are information society, but we feel that our society is moving towards the information society, wherein the major workforce is living on the information related job. That is one aspect of it. And next aspect of it is the knowledge society. You must be listening that nowadays, even yesterday's newspaper also we have seen that a lot of discussion is going on about the Knowledge Commission, about the Prime Minister's Knowledge Commission. Now this has come only after that World Summit on Information Society on 2006, which United Nations has formulated, that how each nation can move towards this information society, so that a global knowledge society is visible and feasible also. They are not, United Nations is not planning a total global knowledge society, but this knowledge society has to be developed individually. That means when individual nations develop their knowledge society, then as a result it will be a total global knowledge society, and for which the information society, development of the information society is a predominant factor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.